You've been waking up at 3 a.m. for weeks now. Same time every night. You check your phone. 3:03 a.m., 2:58 a.m., 3:11 a.m., always around 3. And you can't figure out why. You're not stressed. You didn't drink caffeine. You went to bed at a normal time. But like clockwork, your eyes open, wide awake, in the middle of the night. And you lie there, staring at the ceiling, wondering what's wrong with you. You've Googled it. Sleep disruption, insomnia, anxiety, cortisol spikes. The articles tell you, fix your sleep hygiene, stop looking at screens, try melatonin. But nothing works. Because this isn't about sleep hygiene. This isn't insomnia. This isn't anxiety. This is activation. And if you found this video, you're about to understand why. Let me validate something first. You're not broken. You're not sick. You're not losing your mind. What's happening to you at 3 a.m. is happening to a very specific subset of people. People whose consciousness is shifting, whose frequency is elevating, whose pineal gland is activating. And I know that sounds esoteric. I know that sounds spiritual. But there's actual science behind this. Neuroscience, biology, physics, that explains exactly why your body is waking you up at the exact same time. Every single night. 3 a.m. isn't random. It's not arbitrary. It's not just when your sleep cycle happens to lighten. 3 a.m. is significant. Biologically, electromagnetically, dimensionally, and the fact that you're waking at this time, repeatedly, consistently, without external cause, means something in you is changing. Something is activating. That wasn't active before. You've probably noticed other things too, not just the 3 a.m. wake-ups, but heightened sensitivity to energy, to people's emotions, to spaces. You walk into a room and you feel everything, everyone's mood, the tension, the joy, the history. Things you never noticed before are now unavoidable. Dreams that feel more real than waking life. Premonitions that come true. Synchronicities multiplying. Numbers repeating everywhere you look. These aren't separate phenomena. They're all connected to what's happening. At 3 in the morning, your pineal gland, the small pine cone-shaped gland in the center of your brain, is activating, producing different chemicals, operating at different frequencies, opening channels that were dormant your entire life. And 3 a.m. is when the activation peaks. Most people will never experience this. Their pineal gland stays dormant, calcified by fluoride, by processed food, by electromagnetic pollution, by a lifetime of environmental toxins and cultural conditioning that keeps consciousness at a certain frequency, a frequency where the pineal gland never fully activates, where the third eye stays closed, where perception stays limited to 5 senses and material reality. But you're different. Something shifted. Maybe it was the video you watched yesterday about quantum consciousness, about observation creating reality. Maybe it was something else. A crisis, a loss, a breakthrough, a decision to question everything. Whatever it was, your frequency elevated. And when frequency elevates, the pineal gland responds. It starts producing different ratios of neurochemicals. It starts operating at frequencies that access different information, different dimensions, different timelines. And 3 a.m. is when the veil between dimensions is thinnest, when electromagnetic interference from human activity is lowest, when your own electromagnetic field is most receptive to information beyond the 5 senses. This is why mystics meditate at this hour, why spiritual traditions call it the hour of the wolf, the witching hour, the time when the boundary between worlds becomes permeable. If you're still watching, take that as confirmation. You're one of the ones. being activated, being upgraded, being prepared for conscious creation at levels most people will never access. And what I'm about to show you in the next 40 minutes will explain the mechanism, the biology, the physics, and most importantly, the protocol for working with these activations instead of fighting them. Let's begin. Let's start with the science, because this isn't just spiritual theory. Your pineal gland is an actual endocrine organ sitting deep in your brain, between the two hemispheres, behind and above the pituitary gland. For centuries, philosophers called it the seat of the soul. Descartes believed this was where body and spirit met, where consciousness interfaced with physical form, and modern science is starting to prove he was right. The pineal gland produces melatonin. Everyone knows that. Melatonin regulates your sleep-wake cycle, your circadian rhythm. But what most people don't know is that the pineal gland also produces DMT, dimethyltryptamine, the most powerful, naturally occurring psychedelic compound in existence. Dr. Rick Strassman, neuroscientist, spent years researching this. He called DMT the spirit molecule because it produces experiences identical to near-death experiences, to mystical visions, to encounters with other dimensions. Your pineal gland produces DMT at specific times: when you're born, when you die, when you dream, and according to Strassman's research, during moments of extreme consciousness expansion, peak experiences, spiritual awakening, Kundalini activation, and for some people, at 3 a.m. when all conditions are aligned for the gland to produce higher concentrations of this molecule that literally opens perception beyond ordinary reality. But here's what's interesting. The pineal gland is photosensitive. It responds to light, even though it's buried deep in your brain with no direct access to external light. It has cells remarkably similar to the cells in your retina, as if it's a third eye capable of perceiving light frequencies that your physical eyes cannot detect. Ancient traditions knew this. They called it the Ajna chakra, the third eye, the center of intuition, clairvoyance, higher perception. Now let's talk about why 3 a.m. specifically. Your body operates on a circadian rhythm, a 24-hour cycle of hormones, of brain activity, of body temperature, of consciousness states, and at 3 a.m., something specific happens. Your cortisol levels hit their lowest point. Cortisol is your stress hormone, your survival hormone, the chemical that keeps you in waking consciousness, in active thinking, in fight or flight awareness. When cortisol is high, you're locked into beta brainwaves, analytical thinking, material focus, survival mode. But at 3 a.m. cortisol bottoms out, and when cortisol drops, other things can emerge. Melatonin is still present from your sleep cycle, but you're starting to transition out of deep sleep into lighter stages. And in that transition, your brain enters theta wave state, 4 to 7 hertz. This is the frequency where the subconscious becomes accessible, where the barrier between conscious and unconscious dissolves. Theta state is where children spend most of their time before age 7, before their brain fully develops beta wave consciousness. This is why children are so imaginative, so psychic, so connected to things adults can't perceive. They're operating in theta, where the veil is naturally thin, where perception isn't limited by logic, by conditioning, by the filters that develop later, and at 3 a.m. you return to Theta briefly between sleep cycles.
Your pineal gland
Is producing melatonin and possibly DMT. Your cortisol is at its lowest. Your electromagnetic field is most receptive, and the external environment is also optimal because human activity is at its minimum. Most people are asleep. Their electromagnetic devices are quiet. The collective field is calm, and in that calm, in that stillness, your consciousness can access frequencies, information, dimensions that are drowned out during waking hours. If this is resonating, if you're recognizing yourself in what I'm describing, do me a favor, subscribe to this channel, because if you're experiencing 3 a.m. wake-ups, you're being upgraded. Your system is preparing for something most people will never experience. Hit that subscribe button, then let's continue. Now let's talk about what's actually happening when you wake. At 3 a.m., what are you actually receiving? Most people think it's nothing, just broken sleep, just annoyance. But what if these wake-ups are intentional? What if your higher consciousness, your future self, the quantum field, is trying to communicate, and 3 a.m. is the only time it can get through? When the frequency is clear enough for reception, think of it like a radio. During the day, your conscious mind is broadcasting at full volume. Thoughts, worries, tasks, plans, the frequency is crowded with beta waves, with cortisol, with sensory input, with the electromagnetic noise of a waking world. There's no space for subtle signals, for quiet downloads, for information that operates at different frequencies than ordinary thought. But at 3 a.m. the channel clears. Your conscious mind is offline. Your brain waves and slow down. Your electromagnetic field becomes receptive. And suddenly, information can come through from timelines that haven't happened yet, from versions of you that already exist, from consciousness fields beyond your individual awareness. This is what spiritual traditions call downloads, transmissions, revelations, messages from guides, from higher self, from the divine. But it's not supernatural. It's quantum. Remember from yesterday's video, all timelines exist simultaneously. Your future self already exists in a parallel reality, and at certain frequencies, consciousness can access information across timelines, across dimensions. This is what's happening. At 3 a.m., your pineal gland produces the chemistry. Your brain enters the frequency, and your consciousness briefly accesses information from beyond your current timeline. Some people receive clear messages, clear visions, clear knowing about what's coming, about what to do, about who to call, about what to avoid. Others receive feelings, sensations, emotions that don't match their current situation, but perfectly match a timeline they're moving toward. Others receive symbolic information, images, dreams that seem random, but contain encoded guidance for future situations. The problem is, most people don't recognize it. They wake up, check their phone, get frustrated, try to go back to sleep and miss the entire transmission. They dismiss the thoughts, the feelings, the images as just midnight anxiety, random neurons firing, meaningless brain activity. But it's not random. It's not meaningless. It's your consciousness accessing information that's being broadcast at frequencies you can only receive when conditions are exactly right. Let me give you a concrete example. You wake at 3 a.m. with sudden anxiety about a project at work. Your conscious mind says, "This is just stress. Just worry. Go back to sleep." But what if that anxiety is actually information from a timeline where that project goes wrong? Your future self trying to warn you. Your higher consciousness alerting you to course correct now before it happens, or you wake with a sudden urge to contact someone you haven't thought about in years. Your logical mind says that's weird, that's random, forget it. But what if that person is about to play a role in your timeline? What if the synchronicity is setting up right now and your consciousness is receiving the signal to make contact before the opportunity closes, or you wake with a solution to a problem you've been struggling with for weeks? Complete, perfect, obvious. Your conscious mind takes credit, says, "I figured it out." But you didn't. Your three-dimensional waking consciousness didn't solve it. Your multi-dimensional consciousness accessed the timeline where it's already solved and downloaded the information at 3 a.m. when reception was clear. This is what's happening every time you wake. At this hour, you're receiving information, guidance, downloads, course corrections, timeline updates from consciousness operating beyond the limits of your waking mind. And most people miss it because they don't know what they're experiencing. They don't have the framework to recognize, to decode, to work with what's coming through. Now let's talk about the veil between dimensions and why it thins at 3 a.m. This isn't just metaphor, this is electromagnetic reality. During waking hours, the Earth's surface is bombarded with electromagnetic frequencies, cell towers, Wi-Fi signals, radio waves, power lines, millions of devices, all broadcasting at once, creating electromagnetic noise that interferes with subtle frequencies, with consciousness signals, with information operating at quantum levels. Your own body adds to this. During the day, your brain produces beta waves, 13 to 30 hertz, fast, analytical, focused on material reality. Your nervous system is active, producing cortisol, adrenaline, stress chemicals that keep you in survival mode, in doing mode, in thinking mode. Your electromagnetic field is contracted, defensive, focused on navigating the physical world. But at 3 a.m. everything changes. Human activity drops to minimum. Most devices are quiet. The electromagnetic pollution decreases significantly. The Earth's own electromagnetic field, the Schumann resonance, becomes more detectable, more accessible. It resonates at 7.83 hertz, right in the middle of theta range. The same frequency your brain enters during deep meditation, during creative flow, during consciousness expansion, and your own field is different too. Your brain has shifted from beta to theta. Your nervous system has shifted from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Your body has released melatonin, possibly DMT. Your electromagnetic signature is open, receptive, permeable to frequencies that were blocked. During waking hours, this is what esoteric traditions mean by the veil thinning. It's not symbolic. It's electromagnetic. It's neurochemical. It's quantum mechanical in this state. At this hour, your consciousness can perceive what's always there, but usually inaccessible. Other dimensions aren't far away. They're right here, existing at different frequencies, like radio stations, all broadcasting at once, but you can only tune in to one at a time. During the day, you're locked into the material frequency, the three-dimensional station. But at 3 a.m., your receiver can tune to other stations, other frequencies, other dimensions of reality. This is why 3 a.m. has been significant across cultures, across centuries. The hour of the wolf. In Scandinavian tradition, the time when sleep is deepest and spirits walk, the witching hour. In Western occultism, when magic is most powerful, when spells work best, when communication with other realms is easiest. The Brahma Muhurta, in Vedic tradition, the time most auspicious for spiritual practice, for meditation, for connecting with higher consciousness. These traditions aren't superstition, they're observation of electromagnetic and consciousness phenomena that modern science is only now beginning to measure, to understand, to validate with instruments and research what mystics have known for millennia. Now here's where this gets personal. Not everyone wakes at 3 a.m. Most people sleep straight through. Their pineal gland stays dormant. Their consciousness stays locked at material frequency. Their electromagnetic field stays contracted. Why? Because their frequency hasn't elevated to the point where activation begins. Remember yesterday's video about quantum consciousness, about observation, creating reality, about frequency, determining collapse. If you watched that, if you understood that, if something shifted in your awareness, your frequency elevated even slightly, and that elevation triggers changes in your biology, in your neurology, in your electromagnetic field that make you receptive to information others can't receive. Your pineal gland starts producing different chemical ratios. Your brain starts accessing different wave states. Your electromagnetic field starts resonating with frequencies beyond material reality, and suddenly 3 a.m. becomes significant, becomes activating, becomes the time when downloads can come through, when your system is being upgraded to operate at levels of consciousness most people never access. This is why some people experience this and others don't. It's not random. It's not arbitrary. It's frequency-based. It's consciousness-based. You're waking because your consciousness is ready to receive information your waking mind can't process. Your survival programming would reject, your logical brain would dismiss, but your higher consciousness, your quantum self, your multidimensional awareness knows you need. Think about it. If you received these downloads during the day, what would happen? Your logical mind would immediately analyze, doubt, question, reject. Your ego would feel threatened by information that contradicts your current identity, your current reality, your current timeline. Your survival programming would label it as dangerous, as unrealistic, as impossible, and shut it down before it could integrate. But at 3 a.m., your logical mind is offline, your ego is quiet, your survival programming is dormant. Your defenses are down, and in that vulnerability, in that openness, in that receptivity, information can enter, can be received, can be absorbed into your consciousness without resistance, without interference, without the filters that would normally block it. This is intelligent design. This is your higher consciousness, knowing exactly when to deliver the transmission, when the channel is clear, when reception is optimal, when integration is possible. 3 a.m. isn't inconvenient. It's strategic. It's precise. It's the only time many people can receive what they need to receive. Let's talk about what these downloads actually contain. Different people receive different types of information based on what they need, what they're ready for, what timeline they're moving toward. Some receive future timeline information, glimpses of what's coming, what's possible, what's available, not as fixed fate, but as probability, as potential, as direction. You might wake with sudden knowing about a decision you need to make, about a path you need to take, about an opportunity that's coming. Your logical mind has no basis for this knowing, no evidence, no proof, no rational reason to believe it. But the knowing is absolute, unshakable, clear. That's future timeline information, your consciousness accessing what your current timeline is moving toward it. Others receive higher self messages, guidance from the version of you that exists beyond time, beyond limitation, beyond current identity. This often comes as intuition, as inner voice, as clear instruction about what to do, what to release, what to embrace, what to change. It feels different than regular thoughts. It has weight, authority, truth that thoughts don't have. Others receive symbolic information, images, scenes, metaphors that don't make sense in the moment, but later prove relevant, prove prophetic, prove essential to understanding a situation, a person, a choice. This is consciousness speaking in symbols, because symbols bypass logic, access subconscious, carry information that words cannot convey. Others receive emotional downloads, feelings that don't match current reality, joy without cause, peace without reason, love without object, or sometimes sadness, grief, fear that isn't yours, but belongs to a timeline. You're releasing an identity. You're shedding a reality. You're leaving. The emotion is real, but it's not about now. It's about what's shifting in your consciousness and structure. And others receive direct knowing, information that simply appears in consciousness, complete, whole, obvious, solutions to problems, answers to questions, understanding of mysteries that were previously impenetrable. This is quantum information transfer from consciousness fields that contain all knowledge, all possibility, all wisdom, accessible when frequency aligns, when reception is clear, when the individual is ready to hold that information. The key is recognizing that whatever you receive is relevant, is significant, is meant for you, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment, even if you can't act on it immediately, even if it seems random, meaningless, and strange. Trust that your higher consciousness knows what you need, when you need it, how to deliver it to you. Now let's talk about the practical protocol. What do you actually do when you wake at 3 a.m.? Most people make the mistake of fighting it. They immediately check their phone, scroll social media, try to force themselves back to sleep, turn on TV, distract themselves, and in doing so, they miss the entire transmission. They interrupt the download. They close the channel before anything can come through. Here's what to do instead. The moment you wake, don't move, not yet. Stay in position, eyes closed, body still. Don't reach for your phone. Don't turn on the light. Don't engage your thinking mind. Stay in the in-between state, between sleep and waking. This is the portal. This is where perception is clearest, where information can flow without interference. Breathe slowly, deeply into your belly, not your chest. This signals your nervous system to stay in parasympathetic, to stay in receptive mode, to stay in theta, instead of jumping into beta waves, into thinking, into analyzing, into doing. The breath keeps you in the frequency where downloads can occur, where consciousness can access what it needs to access, and then pay attention to what's there. What thoughts are present, not the ones you're generating, but the ones that are just there, already formed, already complete. What feelings are present? What images? What knowings? What sensations in your body? Don't judge them. Don't analyze them. Just notice. Just receive. Just witness what's coming through. This might last 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it takes for the transmission to complete. You'll know. When it's done, you'll feel a shift, a completion, a sense that whatever was being delivered has been delivered. And then you can move. You can turn on a light. You can get up. But not before, not during the download. Once the download is complete, the next step is crucial. Document it immediately before your thinking mind takes over, before logic steps in, before you forget. Keep a journal next to your bed, specifically for 3 a.m. wake-ups, and write everything that came through. No editing, no censoring, no judging. Just write what you received. Write the thoughts that were there, word for word, if possible, even if they don't make sense, even if they seem random, even if they contradict your current beliefs. Write them. Write the feelings that were present. Name them, describe them. Note their intensity, their quality, their signature. Write the images, the symbols, the scenes that appeared in as much detail as you can remember. Write the knowings, the direct information that simply appeared in consciousness about people, about situations, about decisions, about timelines, even if you have no proof, no evidence, no logical reason to believe it. Write it, because 3 months from now, when that knowing proves accurate, you'll want to remember that you received it. At 3 a.m. on this date, in this way, this documentation serves 3 purposes. First, it trains your consciousness to recognize these downloads as significant, as valuable, as real. Your subconscious learns that when information comes through at 3 a.m., you pay attention, you honor it, you take it seriously, and when you do that, more comes through, clearer, stronger, more frequently. Second, it helps you decode the information. Sometimes the meaning isn't clear in the moment, but weeks later, when you review your journal, patterns emerge. Symbols repeat, themes develop, and suddenly, what seemed random reveals itself as coherent, as prophetic, as guidance you were receiving long before you consciously understood it. Third, it builds evidence for yourself that this is real, that you're not imagining it, that information is actually coming through when download, after download, proves accurate. When guidance after guidance leads to right outcomes. When knowing, after knowing, manifests in physical reality, you develop unshakable trust in these activations, and that trust opens the channel even wider. Now let's talk about protection protocol, because some people experience 3 a.m. wake-ups as disturbing, as frightening, as overwhelming. They feel vulnerability, they sense presences, they experience anxiety, fear, confusion. This isn't because something bad is happening. It's because they're opening to frequencies they're not yet trained to navigate. Think of it like this. If you suddenly gained the ability to hear all sound frequencies, not just the narrow range humans normally hear, you'd be overwhelmed by the noise, the information, the stimulation. It wouldn't mean the sounds are dangerous, just that you're not yet calibrated to process them. Same with consciousness frequencies at 3 a.m. So here's the protection protocol before bed. Ground yourself. Literally put your hands on the earth, if possible, or on a plant, a tree, anything living and connected to earth. Visualize roots growing from your feet, your spine, deep into the ground, anchoring you to physical reality, to your body, to Earth's electromagnetic field. Then set intention out loud or silently. I am open to guidance from my higher self, from timelines that serve my highest good. I am protected by my own consciousness. I am grounded in my body, in this reality, in this timeline. Only information that serves me can come through. This isn't about fear, about blocking, about defense. It's about clarity, about discernment, about directing your receptivity when you wake at 3 a.m. If you feel overwhelmed, scared, too open, place your hand on your heart. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your breath. Feel your body. This grounds you, reminds you, you're here, you're safe, you're in your body, in your reality, in your timeline. Then breathe slowly, deeply into your belly until the overwhelm subsides. You can also visualize purple light surrounding you, filling your room. This isn't superstition. Purple corresponds to crown chakra, to pineal gland, to higher consciousness frequencies. Visualizing it tunes your electromagnetic field to that frequency, creating coherence between your intention and your energetic state. And here's what not to do. Don't research negative information about 3 a.m. Don't consume fear-based content about demons, about entities, about spiritual attacks. That information programs your subconscious with fear, and fear collapses negative timelines. Fear attracts negative frequencies, not because the universe punishes fear, but because observation creates reality, and fear is observation of threat. If you approach 3 a.m. wake-ups with fear, you'll experience fearful phenomena, not because demons are real, but because your consciousness in Theta state is incredibly creative, incredibly powerful at manifesting whatever you observe for, whatever you believe is there. This is why horror movies are so effective. They program your consciousness to expect darkness at 3 a.m. and consciousness delivers exactly that. But if you approach with curiosity, with openness, with trust that you're being upgraded, activated, prepared for higher consciousness, you'll experience that instead You'll receive guidance, information, downloads that serve you, that elevate you, that prepare you for the reality. You're creating your expectation determines your experience. Your frequency determines what you access. Your belief determines what comes through, so choose consciously what you believe about these activations, because that belief will prove itself right every single time. Now let's talk about decoding the downloads, because receiving information is only half the process. The other half is understanding what you received, and this isn't always immediately obvious. Sometimes the download is clear, direct, actionable. Call this person, take this path, release this pattern. But often, it's symbolic, layered, encoded in imagery, in feeling, in metaphor, that requires translation. Here's the protocol for decoding. First, look for recurring symbols. If the same image appears multiple times across different wake-ups, it's significant. Your consciousness is using that symbol to communicate something specific. Write down what that symbol means to you, not what it means in dream dictionaries, in symbolism guides, in universal archetypes. What does it mean to you personally, in your experience, in your life? Because consciousness speaks in your language, using your reference points, your memories, your associations. A snake might mean transformation to someone else, but to you, it might represent a specific person, a specific fear, a specific situation from your past. The meaning is personal, is subjective, is uniquely coded for you to understand. Second, pay attention to emotional signatures, the feeling tone of the download. Was it peaceful, urgent, joyful, sad? That emotion is information, is guidance, is direction. If you wake with sudden peace about a situation that's been stressing you, that's confirmation. That timeline is resolving positively, even if external circumstances don't yet reflect that. If you wake with urgency about something that seems unimportant, pay attention. That urgency is a signal from your future self, from higher consciousness, that something needs your attention now, before a window closes, before an opportunity passes, before a timeline shifts in a direction you don't want. If you wake with grief about something you haven't lost, that's timeline grief. You're mourning a version of reality. You're releasing an identity. You're shedding a possibility. You're closing. It doesn't mean something bad is happening. It means you're evolving beyond what that grief represents, and grief is natural even when what you're releasing no longer serves. Third, track the timing of manifestation. When you receive a download, note the date, then watch how long it takes for that information to prove relevant. Some downloads manifest immediately, within days, within hours. Others take weeks, months, even years to fully reveal their meaning, their accuracy, their purpose. By tracking this timing, you learn your personal download to manifestation timeline. You learn which downloads are urgent, which are informational, which are preparing you for something far future. This helps you prioritize your response, your action, your attention based on what's immediate versus what's preparatory. Fourth, look for confirmation in waking reality. After you receive a download, pay attention to what happens in the following days. Do synchronicities appear related to what you received? Does someone mention exactly what you downloaded, do circumstances align to create what you were shown? These confirmations aren't coincidence. They're the quantum field responding to your observation, to your reception, to your frequency shift. When you receive information at 3 a.m., your observation has changed, your frequency has shifted, and reality begins reorganizing to match that new frequency. The confirmations are proof that the download was real, was accurate, was guidance from consciousness that knows what you need. Now let's address something important. What if you stop waking at 3 a.m. after weeks or months of consistent activation? Some people experience this and panic. They think they lost the connection. They did something wrong. The activation stopped, but that's not what's happening. Think of it like training wheels on a bicycle. When you're learning to ride, you need them. They provide stability, support, guidance, but once you learn to balance, you don't need them anymore. 3 a.m. wake-ups are training wheels for consciousness expansion. They're teaching you to recognize downloads, to receive guidance, to access information from beyond your waking mind, but eventually you learn to access that information during waking hours, during meditation, during moments of stillness, during creative flow. Your consciousness integrates the ability to tune to those frequencies without needing the specific conditions of 3 a.m. You've learned the skill. Now you can apply it anytime, anywhere. So if the wake-ups stop, don't panic, celebrate. It means you've integrated the activation. You've completed that phase of training. Now you're moving into application, into using what you learned in your daily life, in your conscious creation, in your timeline navigation. But also, know this, the wake-ups can return when you're ready for the next level, the next upgrade, the next download of information. Your consciousness can't yet access during waking hours. It's cyclical, it's evolutionary, it's your system upgrading in stages as you're ready to receive, to integrate, to embody higher frequencies. Some people experience waves, 3 months of intense wake-ups, then nothing. For 6 months, then they return, even stronger. This isn't random, it's your consciousness working in cycles, downloading, integrating, embodying, then downloading the next level. This is how evolution happens, not linear, but spiral, not constant, but rhythmic. Now let's talk about why some people never experience this, even though they're spiritual, even though they meditate, even though they're seeking higher consciousness. The answer is frequency, is preparation, is timing. Not everyone is ready for 3 a.m. activations. Not everyone needs them for their particular path. Some people access higher consciousness through other portals, through plant medicine, through breath work, through meditation, through creative expression, through peak experiences in nature. There are many doors to expanded consciousness. 3 a.m. is just one, and it's not superior to others. It's just different. But if you're experiencing 3 a.m. wake-ups, it means this is your door. This is your portal. This is how your consciousness is choosing to expand, to upgrade, to access information you need for your timeline, for your purpose, for your evolution. And here's the connection to yesterday's video about quantum consciousness, about observation, creating reality. When you understand that framework, Your frequency elevates, and that elevation triggers pineal activation. 3 a.m. wake-ups are the result of understanding quantum mechanics of consciousness. They're not separate phenomena. They're connected, sequential, evolutionary. You learn. Consciousness creates reality. Your frequency shifts. Your pineal gland activates. You start receiving downloads. At 3 a.m. you learn to decode them, to trust them, to act on them. Your reality begins shifting faster, more precisely, more aligned with your highest timeline. This is the progression. This is the upgrade. This is what happens when consciousness wakes up to its own creative power, and the people who experience 3 a.m. activations are the ones ready for accelerated timeline shifting, ready for conscious creation at levels that require information from beyond the five senses, from beyond material reality, from beyond linear time. You're being prepared to operate as a conscious creator, not just understanding the concept, but living it, embodying it, becoming it. This is why these wake-ups feel significant, feel different, feel like something important is happening, because it is. Your consciousness is expanding beyond the limits most humans operate within. You're accessing frequencies, dimensions, information that will allow you to create realities others can't. Imagine to collapse timelines others can't access, to become a version of yourself that operates at quantum levels. So don't resist these activations. Don't fight them. Don't try to fix them with sleep hygiene, with melatonin, with sleep aids. Work with them, honor them, document them, decode them, trust them, because they're upgrading you, preparing you, activating you for what's coming next. So let's integrate everything. You now understand why 3 a.m. specifically, your cortisol bottoms out. Your brain enters theta. Your pineal gland produces chemistry that opens perception. The electromagnetic environment quiets. The veil between dimensions thins. These aren't separate factors. They're converging conditions that create the perfect portal for consciousness to access information beyond ordinary reality. You now understand what's actually happening when you wake. You're not broken, not insomniac, not anxious. You're receiving downloads from future timelines, from higher consciousness, from the quantum field itself. Information that your waking mind can't access, that your logical brain would reject, that your survival programming would block. But at 3 a.m., the channel is clear, the reception is open, the transmission can occur. You now understand the science behind it. DMT production in the pineal gland, theta wave states, Schumann resonance, alignment, electromagnetic field, receptivity. This isn't supernatural. It's biological. It's neurological. It's quantum physical. It's how consciousness interfaces with information fields that exist beyond material perception. You now understand the protocols. Stay still when you wake. Breathe deeply. Stay in the in-between. State. Receive. Without judging. Document. Immediately. Decode. By tracking. Symbols, emotions, timing, confirmations. Ground yourself before bed. Set clear. Intention. Protect your frequency with awareness, not fear, and you understand why you, specifically, are experiencing this. Your frequency, elevated from understanding quantum mechanics, from yesterday's video, from something that shifted in your consciousness, and that elevation triggered pineal activation. 3 a.m. wake-ups are the result of frequency. Sheng, they're proof that something in you has changed, is changing, is preparing for what comes next. Here's what happens next. You stop resenting the wake-ups. You stop fighting them. You stop trying to fix them. Instead, you welcome them. You prepare for them. You work with them. You keep your journal ready. You set intention before sleep. You stay present when they occur. You document what comes through, and then something shifts. The downloads become clearer, more frequent, more specific, more actionable, because you're cooperating with the process instead of resisting it. Your consciousness learns you're ready, you're willing, you're paying attention, and when you pay attention, more comes through. Always you start noticing patterns in your journal, symbols that repeat, themes that emerge, predictions that prove accurate, guidance that leads to perfect outcomes, and your trust deepens. Not blind trust, but earned trust based on evidence, based on results, based on repeated confirmation that something real is happening. Your reality starts shifting faster, more precisely, more aligned with your highest timeline, because you're receiving course corrections in real time. You're accessing information about future probabilities. You're getting guidance from consciousness that sees what your waking mind cannot, and you're acting on it, trusting it, following it into timelines others can't access. People around you start noticing something different about you. You seem more certain, more aligned, more in flow. Things work out for you in ways that seem impossible. Synchronicities follow you. Opportunities find you. Decisions that seemed difficult become obvious, because you're operating with information from beyond linear time, from beyond material perception. This is what 3 a.m. activations are preparing you for: conscious creation at quantum levels, timeline navigation with precision, reality shaping with awareness. You're becoming a conscious participant in your own evolution, not waiting for life to happen, but actively collapsing the timelines that serve your highest good. Before we close, I need you to do something right now while this information is active in your consciousness. Leave a comment below. Type this exact phrase: my 3 a.m. wake-ups are activations, not disturbances. This isn't superstition. This is declaration to your subconscious, to the quantum field, to your higher consciousness, that you understand what's happening, that you're ready to work with it, that you're choosing to see these wake-ups as upgrades, not problems. Type it: my 3 a.m. wake-ups are activations, not disturbances, and notice how it feels to declare that, to claim that, to own that. Notice the part of you that resists, that says you're crazy, that says this is just insomnia. That's your old programming, your materialist conditioning. Notice it, think it, and declare. Anyway, if you've made it this far, you're ready for the next level. Most people will never connect these dots, will never understand what's happening. At 3 a.m., they'll spend their whole lives fighting these wake-ups, missing the downloads, dismissing the most powerful portal they have. But you're not most people. You're here because you're ready. And if you want to go deeper, the next video is about angel numbers, but not what you think those numbers are. Actually frequency codes from your future self, and most people are reading them completely wrong. That video will appear on your screen in a moment. But before you click, take a breath. Feel what shifted in you during this video. You're different now than when you started. Information changes consciousness, and consciousness changes reality. Tonight, when you wake at 3 a.m. and you'll know what's happening. You'll know what to do. Trust it. Document it. Decode it. Because it's working for you. Activating you for the reality you're about to create. I'll see you in the next one. Keep waking. Keep receiving. Keep becoming.